Hello, everyone, and as always, welcome back to Strategy Gaming Dojo, where we find, learn, and play one more turn of the great strategy games. Today, this is back into Gary Grigsby's War in the Pacific Admirals edition, and our play by email with our friend Lodric. And as you probably remember, at the end of the combat resolution here, it is January 6, 1942, by the way. So at the end of our last combat resolution, so that was the January 4th, January 5th turn, the Hermes, I've been told it's actually Hermes. We don't give it the French pronunciation. It's a British ship, so we're not going to say Hermes. It's Hermes. The Hermes was hit with a torpedo, and you can see that action right there. So about halfway in between Rangoon and Port Blair, I had left the Hermes back here to provide some support because if we look over here, and I can just kind of hover over it, we've got a cruiser, we've got 5 light cruisers, and we've got 2 KVs, and those are corvettes, but think of them as anti-submarine craft. Really, that's what you use them for, the KVs. So unfortunately, we have our KVs over here. We've got our carrier over here, and our carrier's been hit. Now we do have a destroyer escort, and I don't want you to get confused if you're kind of new to the game and say, oh, is that why that E is right there? No, that's not what that is. If you've never played the game before or you're kind of new to it, if you have a ship that gets hit and it's been damaged enough, um, you will get what's called an escort. And this is not a ship that's actually on the map. What it really is it's telling you, if this would have happened in World War II, historically, there are, auxiliary ships that come out and try to get this back to port. And that's what that is. It just means this has been damaged and it's, being helped back to port. So I've put the Cornwall in here with the Hermes on the idea that maybe he may try to bomb us as well. The Cornwall was out here. It had gone along with this group, but I've split it off to put it here. And why am I doing that? Well, I'm doing that for the 632 points of anti-aircraft. And so, if the Japanese, if Lodric tries to now bomb our carrier out here, knowing it's wounded, the the animals of the jungle can smell a wounded prey here. If he's going to try to bomb it, I wanted some anti-aircraft in with it. The Jumna had already merged with it, and this, if we look at the Jumna, it's got a 4 anti-submarine. Now, the Jumna did hit this submarine 4 times with depth charges. We had 4 hits on the submarine. So I think he's only got this one submarine out here, and now we've got these guys together. This will look like a transport craft, but mission is escort because they're trying to escort this back to Colombo into our big port back here. We've got a port capacity of 9. It's got shipyard capability, so we're going to try to get it back in there first. Then we'll see. We may send it all the way back to Cape Town because now, Lodric, if he's going to come up here to Colombo, is not going to really care if the Hermes is here. It's not a strong enough ship. If we look at it, it's only got 16 or 18 aircraft on it, 12 that are actually active. So, I mean, this doesn't have a whole lot. I brought it along for the torpedoes because I thought he had a surface fleet up here, but we were wrong about that. Victory value 121 points. Last hit by a 53 centimeter Type 95 torpedo. I'm sure there's someone in the comments that knows more about these type of torpedoes from the Japanese side than I do. But let's put it this way, it put a little hurting on us. And as you can see, we got 24 system damage, 43 float damage. Now, how does this all work? If you're not familiar with the damage, it's 0 to 100, of course. You can see it's still on fire. So there's 3 types of damage, and then this tells you how much active fire is on the ship. Well, in this case, it's a 9. So we're not going to just burn up and sink. Okay, they'll be able to put out this fire. It's still green. This is turned to orange for float. Now that's, obviously it kind of speaks for itself, right? I mean, how well can you still maintain contact with the surface. If this gets to 100, you're at the bottom of the sea. So this is flotation, and then system is like the system's aboard. Can you steer? Can you still, maneuver the ship? Stuff like that. And so then you have engines, and if this was at 100, for instance, we'd have zero speed. Luckily, the engines did not get hurt, and so we've still got a speed of 14. I think its usual speed is like a 32, maybe. It's just going to show us here what the max speed is now and cruise speed. But yeah, I think it's usually like a 31 or a 32. So you can see the flotation problems, the system we're taking on water, that's flotation. And so, we've got to try to get this back to Colombo. So anyway, I wanted to come to that first since that was kind of the big news last time. We've got the Cornwall in here for anti-aircraft to the extent he's going to try to bomb us from shore. And we've got the Jumna out here still trying to fend off. Now, I would imagine this submarine's going to have to retreat out of here. I think we probably damage. I mean, you hit a submarine 4 times. You probably did some damage there that may be catastrophic. We'll see. All right. The groups that he was trying to help over here, when I say he, the Hermes, is we've got cruiser, we've got what, 6 light cruisers and 2 KVs. And these light cruisers have quite a bit of anti-aircraft. That's part of the reason I brought them along. We're going to have to be careful now though, because he knows sort of what's out here, and he's going to start trying to bomb out here. The KVs have the good ASW of 4. The light cruisers do not have any ASW, and the cruiser itself, the Exeter, the flagship of this, has massive anti-aircraft, 632, but it's also got no anti-submarine. So I've got all this together, and I've got it all coming back out here just to make sure if he sends anything else in here for the kill, that we've got plenty of surface ships here. What were they trying to get into Rangoon? Well, here you can see a lot. We've got 25,000 tons of supply. The reason I was doing that is Rangoon's actually getting a little low. It's only got 7,644 tons of supply right now. That's not enough because if he comes and blockades this, he could starve us out instead of having to try this, to take this with infantry, which is what you want to make him do. It's very hard for the Japanese to take Rangoon. We've got troops up here in Pegu, a nice strong force. We've got troops here. We've got the Flying Tigers here. But we'll get into all of that. I also want to break this up a little bit. As a matter of fact, maybe we'll just do that. Let's form a new task force, cargo, out of this, okay? And they're all in the same hex, so they're all going to kind of be together here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get a few of these AKLs, put them together. All right, we could probably do 5. Do I want to do that many? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we could put 5 in each, or that's 4. That's 4. That's 5. Okay. These are all like ships. Okay. And so the reason I'm doing this, and I'm going to put that to go into Rangoon and drop off, is because the port at Rangoon is likely not big enough to handle as big of a task force as we had set up there. One of the other things I want to do, I probably want to put a KV in here. I've got 3 KVs out, or 4 KVs out here actually. Um, all right. So let's put 1 KV in with this. We just want to make sure we don't get hit by another sub should there happen to be one out here. So there's 1 KV in there. All right. And then let's go back to the main big one here. Let's form a new task force with it. And you want to do this because you don't want any of these to get rejected for docking because the task force is too big. And I just want to make sure we can go look at Rangoon. But we have 4 AKs, and then we'll also put in a KV with that, the auricula. All right, that's done. We'll have that head in to drop off at Rangoon. We want to make sure it says unload cargo. Yes, we want to do not refuel. Let's make sure I did that with the other one. I did that. Nope, not that one. This one, do not refuel. Just want to make sure you do that. And then we're going to have to take this one and just say, well, shoot. Let's cancel. It was set up for a meeting. Let's take that off. Let's set it to go into Rangoon and unload cargo. Now remember, always on this first screen, this tells you what it does once it carries out its mission. So you set the destination or the merge or whatever the case may be, and then when that's done, what happens next? You can auto disband, meaning it'll disband right into the port, and so it just breaks up the task force. You can tell it to refuel or not refuel. You can tell it to do unload cargo or not unload cargo if you don't want it to. You can tell it to retire back to its home port, Colombo, which is what we do want to happen this time. We want it to unload its cargo and then go straight back to Colombo. All right. You can set the speed, then the retirement allowed. We could, if we had it on remain on station, it would just sit here till it ran out of fuel. But we want a retirement and allow that. Okay. So we've now broken that up, which is good. And then we've got the cruisers and light cruisers coming back out here. And you may say, well, didn't you bring these over here for their anti-aircraft? I did, but now this has given me a little scared. Now, see, I thought, and I just want to explain this to you, how this game and the fog of war can mess with you a little bit. I'm pretty sure he had a surface task force over here. I don't think it was a big one, but I thought he had like a cruiser and a light cruiser over here. That's why I brought a big bunch of this stuff over just in case, because he has sailed some stuff up here. It ends up there's a submarine, kind of off the tip of the Andaman Islands out here, and because of that, we got caught up in it. Now I've got all these cruisers and light cruisers over here, and probably don't really need them. So I'm gonna have the KVs lead them in so that when they come back out, they've got some submarine protection if there's any more in the area. And then we'll have these cruisers and light cruisers go sit back over here when they're ready to come out of port. Why else can we do that? Well, we've got the Flying Tigers here at Rangoon, and we've got the Flying Tigers that are up in 60 cap. All right. Usually with your cap, of course put it on escort, meaning that would be their primary mission if we were running any bombing. But we're not running any bombing. And then once you put your primary mission, then you go down to the patrols and you say, actually, if this is considered a 100% mission, I want to peel off 60% to do this other mission. Well, we're not bombing at all, so we don't even need escort, right? So these guys are flying 60% of the time up and around. Now you may be tempted to set this at 100%. Why wouldn't you, right? You always want you want them up protecting Rangoon. Well, if you do that, your fatigue will get very high, and you don't want your fatigue really to be over like 15. It can be up to like 20. Once you get up to like 25 or 30, you're going to unnecessarily lose planes. And so really, you want your cap down around 50 or 60. Usually, I have it on 50, but at a place like Rangoon, where I've got a lot of pilots, because the pilots can rotate, right? We got 25 serviceable aircraft right now out of a total of 27. Two are back in maintenance, and we've got 36 pilots. So we should be able to run a higher cap because we've got a lot, we've got plenty of pilots. I try to run the altitude at the best altitude that still has their top maneuverability. And here you can see altitude maneuver modifier. They can go up to 15,000 feet with the same maneuverability. What have we done here? Altitude 15,000 feet. Maximum range over a place like Rangoon. There's no reason to go out 6. You're going to get some operational losses. May as well just do it 5 because all you really care about is flying over Pagoo, Mole Mine, and Rangoon. I mean, we could even make this less, but I kind of like the fact that they're just going to barely fly over this if needed. But I may say it's not really that necessary. And why is that? Well, because again, our primary mission is escort. With fighters, it's either going to be sweep, escort, training, or stand down. That's what fighters do. Uh, Sweep, we've seen a lot of that with Lodric as he sweeps out over certain towns. Um, Escort kind of speaks for itself. They escort bombers, training, stand down, give them a rest if their fatigue gets too high. You can see here the fatigue's a 9. That's perfectly fine. But I've set this instead of cap, I've got it on long range cap. What does that mean? Well, we select a target and it's Task Force 215. And if we go out here, guess what? This I can't remember if I decided to fly it over this. Oh, it's Task Force 6. It's right up at the top. It's not this one. We're actually flying long range cap over these guys. I'm very worried now that he's seen this, that he's going to try to bomb this group, and they don't have any air cover. So I'm flying, you can see British Task Force 215, 9 ships. If we go back to the Flying Tigers, the second squadron of them, we've got long range cap, meaning they're going to fly cap not over where they are right now, but over a target. And that target is Task Force 215. We could set it out over the Hermes as well if we wanted to, but I think we'll be okay because he's going to go speeding away. I don't think his bombers will be able to get to that. I mean, I hope that's correct, but I certainly don't want to lose all these cruisers and light cruisers as well. Losing the Hermes would be a gut punch, and you'd say shoot, but that's not the ship that's going to lose you, or, win or lose the war. Now, you could argue these aren't either, but there's a lot of them, and if we get all of this blown up, he's going to come straight for Colombo because we don't even have anything to just fly at him. Or, to send at him for some kind of surface battle, that would really decimate the British over here in the Bay of Bengal early in the game. They get a lot of stuff later, but early in the game, this is a big portion of that. So took a little bit of a chance there. It's unlike me, and I'm thinking back on it. I just got a little desperate to get some supply into Rangoon. We are going to drop 25,000 tons off, which is very helpful, but we're going to have to reconfigure how we get this supply over there. Now, you may say, well, I don't know, take it up Chittagong. Supply will not flow this way. All right. Burma, just think of it as its own place, and you are going to have to try to get it into Rangoon or Mole Mine if you want to do it that way. But there's nothing on the coast out here by Burma, and so you've got to go into Rangoon. It's difficult. You got to send it along with anti-aircraft sometimes, but those are then vulnerable. It's a tough job early in the game trying to get enough supply into Rangoon. Okay, so that's this kind of situation. Let's go back to excuse me. Let's go back over here to Colombo or in and around Colombo. Then we'll go around the Horn here, back to Rangoon, and then we'll go down to Singapore this time around. I'm going to try to do it, in kind of a quadrant. It may be a little bit smaller than just a fourth of the map, but I'm going to try to go wherever interesting action is happening each time. We do have these transports here. These are coming out of Cape Town, and I put these together. I put this, task force together because we had some light artillery and light anti-aircraft. So this is I believe this is artillery. Let's look. No, this is an AA regiment as well. So this is all AA. We had a bunch of anti-aircraft just sitting there in Cape Town, which obviously doesn't need it. And I said, well, let's get this over to Calcutta. Maybe we could put it in Rangoon. And also, I was sending this KV actually over to go meet this eventually. Oh, whoops. Let's go to meet task force. So we'll meet that task force. All right, because I don't want these transports just floating around with no escort at all, just in case he got a crazy idea to get a submarine up in this area, which is certainly possible. And let's change this a little bit. Let's have him go into Colombo originally, and we'll just stop over there. And this is where I'll go and say, do not unload. All right, and I'll also put it on remain on station. Now, how does that work? Well, then it comes into Colombo. It's not going to unload its cargo. It's going to just sit here until we give it another order or it's about to run out of gas and then it'll go back to its home port. So we're just going to have it come in here and sit and then we may unload one of the AAs here. We may put one in Calcutta. We may get crazy, even try to get one into Rangoon, but we'll make that decision when it gets here. This is its escort that's going to meet it. Perfect. Okay. Now then, we have a PG down here, the Yara, the patrol gunboat. Okay, perfect, fine. We've only got light bombers back here. So we've got 12 Lysander 2 light level bombers. You certainly want more than that. Now I've got them on a general search, search 50. Again, usually when you're down here in the patrol levels, you want this to be at 50 or 60. Unless it's training, then that's always 100. But for patrol levels, 50 or 60. And then I didn't set an arc, all right? And so it's just running a general, and you can actually see it's always the blue line. If you always wonder which line is it, it's that line right there. It's going to be running a general search with those 12 planes all in that circle there. Um, okay, we have some other planes that we could potentially move over here to Colombo. Let's see what we have in Madras. We have these odd axes. They're not very good. I've got all of these on, different arcs except for this one. These are Wapitis. They're not great. They have a maximum range of 3. Okay, so I just have them do a general search, kind of in and all around here. Um, okay, back to Columbus. Well, I wanted to go look actually. What aircraft do I have up here at Bombay? I know I got some new level bombers. I've got them doing a naval search just off the coast. That's about all they can do. Up at Karachi, I just want to make sure I don't have any bombers sitting around somewhere. They could be running some more work out of Colombo, but it doesn't really look like I do. Um, we've got some stuff over here at Calcutta. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the little airfield there. See the airfield? It's always to the upper right, and that tells you that there are aircraft at that base. So just once you get used to the game, you played 1,000 hours of it, you'll just look and be like, oh, okay, I've got aircraft, there. You can see them very easily. What do I have over here at Trincomalee? All right, we've got torpedo bombers over here. It's always fun. Let's click on them actually. They don't have any torpedoes. We should probably put them in. What's their range? They've only got a range of 5. Ugh. I'd like to reload those. We could do that at Colombo. It's big enough to rearm those. We could be a little bit light on torpedoes too. Do, do, do. See, you can click this and it'll go green using bombs. You might as well leave it on using torpedoes. That way, if it does get reloaded with torpedoes, it'll use them. If it doesn't have torpedoes, it'll automatically drop bombs. So you don't have to, it's not like you have to have this on bombs or it's never going to drop anything. Don't worry about that. That's fine for now. All right, let's go back to Colombo and see what else we have here. We have a KV, the Hollyhawk, which is going out to meet Task Force 914. Where is that? Where is that? He says that must be 914. It is. Okay. Task Force 914 just has 3 AKs in it. Then we have another group that has 2 AKs and another group that has 2 more AKs. Okay. So this first group is going to North Mail. This is a British base out here. It's very low on supplies, so I decided to split this up a little bit. The second one is going to Adu, again, a British base out here. That's kind of a fallback. You can also put aircraft on here eventually and can really mess up the Japanese if they try to get up into this area. Just, get nuts on them from Mail and Adu potentially. And then the third one, this is what I'm having the KV go out and meet because it's actually going to sail right into Colombo, drop off some supply. As you can see here, we've got Colombo in very good supply. 115, fuel 48. Now, 48,000 tons. Now, I think I said this last time. It's very true. Don't ever think that you have enough supply at Colombo because if he brings up one of his aircraft carrier forces or task forces, he can shut you off from getting supply here at Ceylon for a very long time. So keep dumping supply in there turn after turn after turn. I usually do it out of Bombay, and that's where all of these came out of. They're coming out of Bombay. I did split them out this one time because I'm getting enough supply to do and mail. That should last them 6 months, the amount of supply I'm dropping off there. But you always want to be coming into Colombo. Okay, what is actually sitting? So the Hollyhock is going to meet 914. Uh, oh, right. I remember now. I'm sending this. I'm gonna actually break these two up. Let's form a new one and take the Honolulu and what was that? The Oklahoman, I think. Done. Yeah, the two that don't have anything loaded on yet. Done. Let's do that. These are headed to Diego Garcia. I'm going to dock them and I'm going to load fuel. Why is that? Well, I've got a lot of stuff down here that's low or running almost out of fuel, and I'm having a lot of it head towards Diego Garcia. So I'm going to go drop some supply and fuel off at Diego Garcia. So we're starting to get those smaller bases built a little bit up. I'm going to send that unescorted for now. I probably actually will do waypoints for that. Let's use waypoints, set waypoint 1. Let's just go out and around a do. That way we're not floating down here where he may actually have something. Why aren't you going there? Back. Diego Garcia. Colombo. Let's exit that out. I don't see him moving. Ah, there we go. Okay, just took a turn to draw it. Did you see that? Why is it doing that? All right. Well, anyway, it's I know it's a glitch in the game. Anyway, it should be. We'll check on that. Make sure it's going to Diego Garcia. But we'll get it out in its way there. Drop off. Let's make sure we are not going to load fuel. Do not refuel, and you can see how it's going to go now. Diego Garcia, do not refuel. I've got this on remain on station. Let's actually do a retirement allowed. We want that to go right back to Colombo. And the one with the waypoints, we want it to return by the exact same route. So let's turn that on yes. We've already got plenty of AA here, actually. We've got two big AA guns, or groups of guns, I should say. The 3.7 millimeters, 24 of those, and another 24. These are identical groups. So we can probably send this AA on to other places where we think the Japanese may be flying over the top. All right, so these three task forces, we looked at them. We've got an AP down here. I'm not even really sure why we have this AP here. It is going to Calcutta. Oh, I'm sending this around here because it's a very small, low point transport. And so I'm going to send it around, send it over to Calcutta, and just have it wait. This is the perfect thing. If we want to get something into Rangoon, potentially like that AA, we'll bring it into Calcutta, and then we'll put it on this little kind of crappy transport. I've got some, patrol boats out here, obviously at Mangalore, Cochin, Trivandrum. But back to Colombo we go. Let's go see what else we have here. We've got 513 in the garrison, including the entire 18th British Division sitting here. The coastal's very strong. Let's see what we have in port. Excuse me. We still have this AS. Awesome. Okay. We've got a few APs. Really, excuse me, I think we want to take these two, certainly. Let's form those up as transports. Yeah, let's take these two. We may even want to do more than that. His speed's a 24. Maybe I'll send him separately. Okay, let's do this as a transport task force. Let's send this to Aden. We're going to need all the help we can get up in Aden to carry troops. So let's do that, and we'll set its home port as Aden, and they will go bring some of those British troops in. All right, that is actually an American flag there. The Leonard Wood, Joseph T. Dickman, they're ready to go. And then these two are pretty dang fast. I may just keep, well, let's actually put the West Point in one as well. We've got smaller little transports around here. West Point's very fast. Let's get that out of here and let's send that up to. Now, we wouldn't want to be bringing it south on the map without escort, but we haven't seen any of his submarine activity up here yet. Famous last words. But I'm going to send these unescorted mainly because we just don't have much of a choice. And let's do this final transport. I don't think we have anything here at all we really need to transport at this time. And we've got little smaller ones. So let's do those two that are like ships, and we'll also send those on their way to Aden. All right, cool. Set home port up to Aden. Aden's actually a little low on supply and fuel here. I've cut off them doing any or task forces pulling off of Aden at all this turn to try to kind of build that up a little bit. Okay, so at Colombo now we have an AS and a CL. So light cruisers just sitting here, that's fine, especially if we lose any over here. We'll need an extra one or two. And we've got an AS, which submarine tender. I always like to hit load tenders on the list when you're in a level 9 port, just to make sure, and we don't need anything. It's already loaded up. Now it shows this as supply, but it can resupply and rearm submarines. That's why it's submarine tender, obviously. Um, Anything else? 3 ships in port. We looked at all that. We looked at this. Oh, I did want to look at. It's showing us that there's 3 ships. Ah, there's the Prince of Wales. It's 4 days away on the pier side. Prince of Wales worth 202 points. It's 4 days away. We're just going to let it get a little bit better, and then we're going to sail it over to Cape Town, I think. Maybe. I could also put it up in the shipyard here. I just keep getting nervous he's going to come up here with some aircraft carriers. I don't know. I mean, it could be a good play for the Japanese. It could be a bad play. It just kind of depends what's going on in the game. I mean, Colombo's is extremely important from the Allied side, and so sometimes Japanese players want to put pressure on it. But in a few days, we're going to be getting quite a few planes up in Aden and otherwise that we'll be bringing here to Colombo, and we can really put up a spirited defense, especially if we have enough supply in there to begin with. All right. Um, So that is Colombo. We'll look over at Trincomalee. We already talked about the planes. We just have an AM here, which is a minesweeper and a local minesweeper. We've actually got a decent amount of troops over here. And let's go look at the troops now because we had moved several of them. And let's put them on combat. I think one of these I was talking about bringing over to Jaffna. Okay, so we've got a 178 on the garrison now. That's great. Jaffna does not have a garrison requirement. We do have, okay, we did move this over here last time. This is just a very mobile 16th Light Cavalry Regiment. Just to have something here. It can also come back to Colombo if Colombo gets attacked. We don't have any troops down in Kagala. I guess we could potentially take the smallest of these and put it over in Kagala. Do I want to do that though? 99th Indian Brigade is setting the tone. You know, it's the backbone out here. And then we've got the 3 Punjabs. Can we put them together? We can. Excellent. All right, now the Punjab, 98. Oh, that becomes 98th Indian Brigade. Interesting. Okay, so we've got 99th and 98th Indian Brigade over here at Trincomalee. That's probably a little too much strength at Trincomalee, but a lot of times Japanese players, you know, they know they're going to run into Hell's Fury at Colombo, so they try to land at Trincomalee. Then they're on the island and they can kind of just spread their tentacles out. But I don't know. It's fine. We've got 98th, 99th. We'll just leave them there for now. Some of that could eventually even come over, and protect some of this if the Japanese get past Rangoon and start moving up the coast. Let's go to Madras. All right, we got three groups of level bombers. We already knew that. We have a division here, the 19th Indian Division. So we've got a 166 on the defensive value over here. These engineers, can they go back together? No. Yeah, most of this is just 19th Indian Division. Fine. Okay, that's good. That's a good. I mean, Madras is important. It can be. It can build up and do a level 9 port if you wanted it to. We are. What are we doing here? We're expanding the port, expanding the airfield, and building fortifications. The main reason I'm doing that is it's on, on the land here, and so it's getting constant supply and fuel from the network. You may as well build up whatever you can, and then if Colombo becomes untenable, you fly them over to Madras, and you can start kind of running a Colombo light out of Madras. I don't think there's too much more to do here. We've got everything set up, and we have for some time. Everybody's on combat defend. As we come around, I really probably need to put a few things out into these bases. You don't want to give them a free landing zone here. Now, you can I've seen definitely seen games where the Japanese land here and you're like, "Oh crap." But you can really starve them out if they do that. It's very hard for them logistically to that. I mean, that's why the Japanese didn't do it historically, right? I mean, to land up here and try to logistically supply that through the Bay of Bengal is incredibly difficult unless they get Rangoon. If they take Rangoon, they can just, very easily take small little task forces over here and keep them supplied. Okay, coming down the way, so we have a mobile force out here, an armor group. What is this? 44th Cavalry Regiment. It's only 11. We could think about spreading out from Madras or taking something out of Calcutta and spreading it across. So let's go over here and look at Calcutta. Calcutta, we've got three groups of level bombers. They're all running search, different searches. That's a general search pattern. This one's coming out 180, 220. Just looking, I mean, where's it to come from? Well, right down here. So let's run that search. We got a general with the Audaxes. These are also Audaxes. So two squadron of Audaxes, one squadron of Blenheims. Blenheims are running the bigger kind of naval search here. We do have four AKLs just sitting here. Um, let's load those up with supply, assuming we have. Well, we got 71,000 tons here. That should be enough. Let's just start loading those. Now, we don't have to give them an order. They'll load up, they'll get to 100%, and they'll just sit here. And when some of these KVs come back, we'll send them back down into Rangoon because we got to try to get more and more down into Rangoon. 25,000 tons will help, but that'll only last a few weeks, and then you got to get more down in there. So there's that. Then we have two other ships in port. Let's go back to active ships. They're just HDMLs. Well, I'm just going to let them sit here for a turn. We've got two local minesweepers. If we look at the troops, they're all on combat defend. Now this looks like a lot. I'm not going to say it's not nothing, but it's only 329. I usually like to have you can't lose Calcutta. Uh, the game becomes very difficult if you start losing Rangoon and Calcutta and Colombo. All of a sudden he's got the Iron Triangle out here, and it's very tough to recover from because he can get stuff up the coast here and just absolutely wreak havoc on your ability to supply your troops. Um, yeah, I mean, nothing cooking here. We could probably put some of these smaller ones out here at places like Kutak. Do we have some really small? I mean, we've got like this little base force, that's 12. We've got Hussars, that's a 16. Most of what we've got over here is 36th Indian Brigade. That gives us an 89. We've got some rifle battalion, we've got some just stuff that doesn't really go with anything else. We've also got, overall headquarters India, India Command, and Eastern Command all here. So this is the air headquarters India, India Command, Eastern Command. Um, I don't really think there's too much more to do here. They're all combat, they're all ready to go. I'm not going to ship anything else down the coast for the time being. Ships in port, no, we just had those HTMLs. Okay, let's go out here and look around. In Lido, we've got the two transports, and they're both heading for Kunming. So they're supply transports. You can see supply transport, destination Kunming. Okay. So they're flying up over the Himalayas into Kunming, which is, I believe, right there. So they're making this flight up and over the Himalayas to right in there. I don't know where. I was trying to think of where Mount Everest is. I just don't know. Actually, is it up kind of in this area? I mean, it's in Nepal though, right? I just don't know. I don't know. Interesting. I should figure that out on a map because now I'm kind of curious. But uh, yeah, we're flying, over part of the mountain range, a very small part of it, down into Kunming. This all looks good. We just have base force up here. There's nothing else. I got everything else a little, south where the action's going to be. Chittagong Gong, Chittagong Bong. Here we go. We have got a lot of stuff out here. We've got this going to Cox's Bazaar. It's been packing up for what seems like forever. I mean, what is this, your girlfriend? Let's get out there, boys, to Cox's Bazaar. Uh, okay, then we got 254th Armored Strat. Okay, this came in. We sent this over. And this has got a very nice 56 AV. We've also got this 45 AV. This we're sending over to Akyab, or I certainly hope we are. Let's go. I don't know why that's not set. It should be set. Oh, we've got it on strategic move. It's got to be on move to go to Akyab. And you may say, why are you doing this? Well, it's the same thing we talked about with Colombo. Japanese players will land at Trincomalee because they're not running right into the teeth of the monster, right? They can land here, they can bring over supplies. It's a nice, easy landing. Same idea with Calcutta. Rather than, and maybe that's what the problem is here. Let's put this to move and let's send you out to Cox's Bazaar. There's Cox's Bazaar. Um, Rather than trying to come straight into Calcutta where they know you've got, the mass of your forces, they'll try to land out here at Akyab, Cox's Bazaar, Chittagong, something like that. Just, to make it a little easier on themselves logistically and then start moving up here. Now they can't really land back here and try to jump over the mountain. It just doesn't work out that way. Instead, they're going to have to land over here. Really, Chittagong is a very popular place for the Japanese to try and land originally. We do have HDMLs in here getting repaired. Whoop-de-doo, who cares? We've also got a unit that's already on its way to Akyab. It's got a 22 assault strength, first Assam rifles. We've been seeing the Assam rifle. I say Assam? Assam. That's headed for Akyab. It'll get out there soon. Okay, that's good. Cox's Bazaar, more going to Akyab. That always makes me happy. The cautious part of me happy. Down in Mandalay, what do we have here? Well, we've got four planes. These guys should actually start following along behind because what am I doing? Well, I'm taking part of the Flying Tigers and I've now flown them up here by Changshan. So you can see they're getting kind of spread out because some of them got damaged, etc. I really, really, really wanted to make this into Changsha, but we didn't quite. So I've got 16 on the ground and two of them got damaged getting out here, and we have no air support here at Sangtan. And so we're going to have to run Cap out of here one time with no air support. We'll get it into Changsha next time, which I do believe has plenty of aviation support. Yeah, it's got 30. So we're going to put the Flying Tigers out here. I say the Flying Tigers. One squadron of the Flying Tigers out here. Why is that? Because he's just been bombing with no effect from us or no response from us. And it's just time to give him a little bit of response And so we are certainly going to do that. They, again, when you fly part of a squadron somewhere and some of them get left behind because they're damaged, they will catch up. As they get built back up, like this four serviceable, it should automatically come over here, but just to make sure, I'm just going to do it manually anyway. So this was into Kunming. Okay, so let's transfer to base. Let's find Kunming if we can. There it is. She whiz. I went right by it. Okay, so it's going to fly out to Kunming, and then its damage planes will follow on after that. Why is that showing 3, 2, and 1? So one got damaged. Okay, so one's back here in maintenance. Okay, let's go over to Kunming. Now this is showing 3, 2, and 1. So one of those had to go into maintenance or got damaged on the flight over to Kunming. Then those three that are ready to go there, this turn should automatically catch up to the rest of the group. And they'll keep doing that and they do it automatically. Okay. So that's Mandalay, really. I've got what appears to be a lot of forces up here, but it's only 51 attack value. We have the strongest force out here at Tangui, which gives you a 20 assault strength. Okay. Um, Fighters, of course, we've got the Buffaloes that are back here. They're running over Tanggu. And then as we get into Rangoon, we'll see what we've got here. We've got the other two squadrons or groups of Flying Tigers. So they're up running cap 60%. We already looked at this long range cap 60 over 215, task force 215. So that's all fine. We do have 6 ships in port and they're all transports. Now, I want to let that submarine hopefully clear the way, and then or clear out of here, the Japanese sub. Then we're going to take those transports and finally get them out of here. I've been worried about bombing, but we haven't really seen a whole lot of that yet. We could also have a few things out of here merge with it, but I kind of want to make sure these guys have KV. What I'm going to do is maybe put in the transports with those cargo task forces, reconfigure that, and then get them out of here. Um, okay, that's really Rangoon. We've got 416 in the garrison. If we look down here, we've got, several engineering groups. We've got the 221 Group RAF. We've got Burma Command, the overall headquarters. And then all we have is 1st Burma Division and 46th Indian Brigade. And you see that 1st Burma Division gives us 274. I've already got the reinforcements on that and upgrades, but replacements are delayed because we haven't been able to get into the port. Okay, let's go to Pegu. At Pegu, we got a lot of stuff here. Let's see if we can rebuild any units out here. Now, those three can't. Rebuild unit. There we go. 17th Indian Division. I thought I had a whole division out here, and indeed we do. 180 strength there, and overall in Pegu, I'm sitting here with 358. So we've got 358 and 416. Why do I put that much into Pegu? Well, he's got to cross a river to attack us here. That is very, very difficult. Now, he can try to come up here and go around us, and a lot of Japanese players will do that, but then his supply situation gets very dicey. So you want him to make him try to attack you across the river. We've got a full division here. We've also got some armor. Sometimes I'll move this armor down to Mole Mine, or I'll move it up to Mandalay or Tonggu, because sometimes the Japanese players just come up here to cut off the Burma Road. That's another tough place for him to try to supply. This is part of the problem the Japanese had historically. They just had a hard time getting enough, supply in here, and there were a lot of partisans up in the mountains, that kind of stuff. We've also got Gloucestershire, Rangoon, Railway BAF. Okay, well, fine. This all looks good. At Mole Mine, we do have a few kind of unaffiliated units. Only 68 here. It's just kind of a blocking force. Once the Japanese come up this way, we'll just drop back behind the river. Tempted to do it now, but he gets 18 points for it. Just give him a little show force, little show force. Nothing else really going on up here. Tongui, Tongu. Again, we got the Buffaloes there, and what is this? Assault value 76. Decent sized force there. We'll get into China after the next combat resolution. Again, can't wait to get the Hermes out of there. Let's just go down here to Malaysia for a second. We've got these units that have just gotten absolutely blasted. They are down to a 2 assault strength. They are completely surrounded. They've got no supplies. They're starving and they're surrounded. But it's tying him up out here, and we still have these guys out here that are just kind of wandering around. Don't really know what they're doing. They're back up to an assault strength of 26. They're they're just killing time, unfortunately. They will become political or prisoners of war this time. In Singapore, what do we have? Well, we've got 595 in the garrison here. I don't think there's anything that we can put together. We got 3rd Indian Corps headquarters, Malayan Army headquarters, a lot of headquarters here. 224 Group RAF, Air Headquarters Far East. A lot of big head honchos up in here. We've got a lot of AA, a lot of artillery. We've got the fort. We've got a lot of engineers. Like I said, headquarters. Hell, I wish a lot of that were just ground troops. Um, you can see this Punjabi battalion. I don't think we can put them back together. 12th Indian Brigade. Where's the other one? It's at 5080. Where the heck is 5080? It's going to Argillis. Oh, it's trying to get back to Singapore. It's part of this group out here. Got it. Okay. Um, yeah, so I mean, we've got these big AA guns in here. We've got about 500. The problem will be supply. Now, we've got a lot of fuel that can be turned into supply because we've got light and heavy industry here. So hopefully, that's kind of self-sustaining. Now, we're sitting here at January 6th. This historically fell, I think, around February 13th to the 15th, something like that, right in that range, kind of mid-February. So, I mean, that's a whole nother month away. Now, historically, the British had a much larger force than even their commander quite realized when compared to the Japanese. The Japanese bluffed them into surrendering. But Singapore can hold out for a long time, and that's what we'll try to do is just sit here. Now, what else is going on at Singapore? Well, we've got 2 HDMLs in here. I mean, I guess we could send them on a suicide mission or something. And then we have the Repulse, and the Repulse is at 3269.20. Right now, I have it on pure side. I'm going to change that. I've already got it stood down. Let's put it in the shipyard. Now it tells us 728 days. Well, that's because we've got 69 flood damage. It takes a while. That's like rebuilding the entire ship. We're going to try to repair this best we can. When it looks like Singapore's about to fall, we're going to just make a run for it. And that's how the Prince of Wales got out of here. It made it up the Strait of Malacca somehow. Now he has got ships up here. I think he's just kind of sitting out here waiting to bombard Singapore or something. He also moved a main task force right here through Oosthaven. We'll see. Okay, so we've got all of this. We got no more ships really, just the HTML and the Repulse. Um, I don't know. I mean, we're just going to kind of sit here. There's not a whole lot else to do. If we look over to Sumatra, we've got Sabang. I'm just leaving the troops up here this time. It gives him something else he's got to do. This is a decent little group. Now, they do run out of supply eventually. There's no good way to resupply them. The only other thing you can do with these guys is go send transports up here and pick them up. But you got to do that on turn one immediately. Go pick them up and bring them down to Palembang. As you can see, it's 105 assault value. It's nothing to sneeze at. At Medan, we've got some other troops. You can see an assault value of 36, an assault value of 26. So I've gotten everything at Sabang, Medan. I think here at Bencalis, this is just a base force. It is. All right. And as you can see, then Jambi has got a base force, and then I've got infantry headed for Palembang, arguably one of the more important spots for the Japanese on the map, certainly. We've got 136 in the garrison of Palembang now, but this unit's coming down there. This will add more when it gets there, so that'll take us up to about a 140. Um, I really would probably like to have some of this from Medan, some of this from Sabang down here, but it's too long of a march. You've got to go get them with transports. I've also got this infantry unit coming over from Padang. I do believe that's another 32. So all of a sudden, we're going to get up near 200, if not more. I want to make sure all of these guys at Palembang are on upgrades. They already are. Reinforcement upgrade. All right, that looks good. We should end up with about a 200 combat strength. But you're in the middle of the swamp. You want to make sure you're building everything out. Well, maybe not the airfield, but definitely fortifications because you want to eat up as much of that supply and fuel as you can. Okay, I think that'll do it for this time. Next time, maybe we'll do Java down to Darwin, or we'll go up to China. We've got big trouble in Little China, mainly caused by him taking Nanyang here. Now, I'm getting him a little surrounded, or at least I'm trying like hell to, but we haven't quite gotten there yet. Let's look at Cyan. We've only, we've got a garrison of 325. The Red Chinese are in here. First Chinese Corps is just sitting here, but we've got a lot more Reds on the way. That's only one. Did I combine these? Yeah, I guess I combined these. This is 8th Route Army. It's Red Chinese. It starts off as 3 Red Chinese units. I put them together into 8th Route Army for a 216, so we'll get that into Cyan. You can't afford to lose Cyan. I've also got stuff here, and I've got stuff retreating back to here, kind of up in the mountains. I even could move him over one. How far is this marched? 7th Group Army. They should be heading back to Cyan. Assault strength 386. Oops, let's click on just an individual one of these. They've gone 16 of the 46 miles in the hex. So to get to the next hex, I should say. So they're going to jump right over here. Okay, I mean, they've kept getting, they've been bullied back, bullied back, bullied back. Uh, we'll leave that as is. But okay, I'm going to leave it there for this time. When we come back, it'll be the combat resolution for January 6th and 7th, and then we'll also, either set up China and or Java next time around. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I love this game, as you can probably tell. So anyway, I'll talk to you later. Strategy Gaming Dojo. Have a good one.